Hello, and thank you for joining me. Another example of Robin plays a game that he has not learned the rules for and possibly gets it wrong. No, I'm joking, of course. I have learned the rules in a bit of a crash course. No pun intended. It's a racing game. Will I crash my car? Possibly not. I'm not sure if that's in the rules of this kind of game, but we'll find out. It will be me, as always, on my lonesome, except for you lovely people joining me in the chat on this live stream. Say hello, please. Who's in the chat? Say hello. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what games you've been playing. Let me know if this is the kind of game you'd be interested in. Oh, hi, B-Noob. Are you first time chatter? First time commenter? I don't recognize your name. It's great. Peaswad says, I'm here, but I'm in class, so I'll be lurking. Ooh. Well, thank you for joining me, Peaswad. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, so it's another board game. It seems to be my thing now. On Tabletopia. It's a free-to-use online, either an app that you can install or a web browser app that you can use to play board games. And it's got loads of games you can play for free. If you want to subscribe, you can get access to other games. I'd say just use the free version and see what you think. But I'm going to be playing The Great Race, which caught my eye because of a film from the 1960s with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, directed by, what's his name, Edward Blake, who directed the Pink Panther films. And it also starred, what's his name, Peter Falk, who played Columbo. Anyone who knows Columbo, that fantastic TV detective, will know Peter Falk. And I think it was Peter Falk. Yeah, it was Peter Falk. And I just remember loving that film. It was set in the 1910s, I think, and it's these two Americans who go on a across the globe race, I think, or maybe it was just across Europe. I can't quite remember. But there's romance and there's hijinks and there's drama on the way. But it was actually inspired by a true story. Excuse me while I take a sip of my tea. Inspired by a true story of, I believe, some Frenchmen, which this game is also inspired by, who raced their 1910s jalopies across continents. And in this game, as the map will reveal momentarily, here we are. We're racing across Africa. So yeah, map's on its side, which is a bit awkward, but that's the way the board's been laid out for this. But yeah, I'll be racing from the top here, this purple place here, to the bottom of Africa, this purple place here. They're cities. These colourful dots represent cities, and I'm sure these cities have names. Maybe if I zoom in onto the map. Ooh, look at Africa. Never viewed it from this perspective before, but I suppose there is no up in space. So if you're outside in space, you don't know. So this is my gosh, what is that? Colombeca. Never heard of that place. My knowledge of geography is pretty limited. All the way down to Cape Town. I don't know if you can see that on its side, but it says Cape Town. I think they mean Cape Town. But then this is a French game, so maybe the French call it Cape Town rather than Cape Town. B-Noob says in the comments, just an awkward time zone. Only ever picked up one podcast and 2 Alex streams. Also the last one you did for the last minute. Oh, well, thank you anyway for joining. Thank you especially for joining. I'm sorry it's an awkward time zone. It is an awkward time zone. And I know that I'm doing it in the middle of a British afternoon, which is awkward for most of most of the British viewers who might want to tune in because, of course, they're usually at work. It's just the way things work out. Oh, Little Miss Stella. Hello. Afternoon, Robin and chat. Hi, Little Miss Stella. Thanks for joining. I'm going to take off these headphones. And put on these specs so I can see. Oh, every time. Okay, so this is the game. It's me versus the board, and here below the board you can see my engine, my dashboard, I guess, in my car. You can see, hopefully, that I've got several dials. This is my fuel dial here. That determines whether I can make progress. If I run out of fuel, obviously, I won't be able to advance. This is my track, like my engine. This is my engine, which determines how many spaces I can move. And this is my chassis, which determines how many cards I can hold in my hand. And the cards are this deck of green cards over here with the label The Great Race on the back of them. And I can use those cards to fix my car as I go along this epic journey across the continent. And then I also have these other symbols here on my board, which are my actions. Before I explain what the actions are, let's have a look at the chat. We've got B Noob says, would figure Robot Robin would zoom in instead of specs. It learning. Thank you. Thanks very much. Little Mistella laughed, and B Noob says, gotta look human, right? Yes, I do have to look human. Got to look human. Got to behave human. How does human talk? So this track here, this beautiful thing that's got no words on it because it's designed for multiple languages across the world, is my action board. And I have 4 actions I can take. This, believe it or not, is a money track, so I can get money. That's action number 1. Action number 2 is I can move or get a card from those resource cards I just showed you, the green-backed cards. Action number 3 is repairing my vehicle or moving, actually driving. That's what the steering wheel symbol means. This isn't moving. This is how I move. I'll explain that in a moment. And this is me choosing to, if I use this action, to ignore damage that will come up. Now you may be thinking, what damage? Well, damage will happen. Damage will happen through nature, and I will explain that as I play the first turn. But the important thing is these actions are available to me if I choose to do them. And how do I choose to do them? With my meeples, with my team of assistants. Obviously, this is a great car journey. I need my Grand Prix team. So I have 5 of them, and I can put them down on this board any place I like. And I think I can even double them up. So I could add 2 of that action if I wanted, or 5 if I was really keen. So I just place these people at the beginning of my turn, or at the end of my turn, actually, before my next turn. I place these people where I want them. If I want money, I put them on this track. And you see that there's different monetary values. I have to stack them up. So to get 20 money, I put 2 people on. To get 40 money, I put 3 people on. To get 70, I put 4. To get 110, I put 5. If you're wondering what the currency is, this is the 1910s, and this is a French game, and this is about 2 French or possibly Belgian men going on a race. So the money is, of course, francs, and that's what all this lovely stuff is here. The money I will use in the game to get fuel, I think. This is my little car. You get a bird's eye view there of my car. In the real game, it's a physical 3D miniature, but in this, it's a little 2D thing. So I start on that space there. And this is me. But what about my opponent? My opponent is the board, because this is the solo version of this game. René Estienne. You can see his name is right there. René Estienne. He is my enemy. I will be wrestling him for the glory of... I was going to say for the glory of Africa, but I feel like white men from Europe driving through Africa is not really for the glory of Africa, is it? It's, well, let's not go into that, shall we? Anyway, they also have 5 little men who perform actions underneath, according to the spaces underneath. They're pretty much, all the AI person does is move, pretty much. But they have this deck of cards here, there are 8 cards, which control how far they move each turn. So that's pretty much it. Might as well get stuck into the gameplay, I believe. There are all these cards along here, in case you're wondering what they are. These are reference cards. In French. Ah oui, saboteur, pisteur, tricheur, escorte, pilote, mécanicien, guide. Guide. Guide, I guess. The French accent would be guide. Financier. Those are actions. Those are explaining, the symbols that will appear on the green cards here. Naturally. B Noob says Renee's 5-man forgot sunscreen. Yes, Renee's whole team is pretty. Oh gosh, picked up the whole board there. Didn't realize I did that. Renee's team is looking pretty sunburnt there. It is Africa after all. They should really bring the sunburn. Sun cream. The sunburn is brought by Africa. Right. So just so you know, last thing to know is this is the turn order track. So whoever's in this position here goes first. Currently it's blue, that's me, I go first. And this track along the bottom here is the progress track. And that determines, as you move, every time you move your token up the progress track. And whoever's the furthest along the progress track becomes the first player and gets to go first. That's basically how that is. So I get to go first, but before I do that, I should allocate my actions. Obviously, I've got full fuel and I want to make progress, so I'm going to drive. So I think I will give myself 2 drive actions by putting them on here. Having said that, some money, I have no money, so maybe I should get some money. I think I'll get some money. Maybe I'll get as much money as I can by putting 3 men on the money thing. Oh, I hope I did the right thing there. Okay, so the first card. So this is all symbols. Again, it's intended for people to be published in any territory, for people of any language. So the rule book will be in your relevant language, but the cards will all look the same. Saves them money, easy printing, clever game design. And what this tells me is what the AI, the board driver, René, is going to do. And he's going to aim for a yellow city. That's what this symbol is here. And this tells me the order in which to take actions for René. But I have to do that after I've taken my turn. Okay. Before we do that, sorry to delay things even further, I just remembered that the rulebook has a wee bit of history. Ah oui. The Gazette. The Belgian team is ready to go. Look, there's the car. That's what I'm driving. Like the caterpillar track on the back there. It's like a tank. A very unprotected tank. But, you know, there was no war on when they did this. So, let's read this newspaper article. The Steel Monster arrives. Oh, the Steel Monsters arrive. After months of grueling preparations, the powerful half-tracks of the Great Race have arrived in a deafening thunder of machinery and cheering crowds. The tension in the air is palpable. The drivers, mechanics, and scouts can hardly wait to enter the fight, to drive where no roads exist, and see things no European eyes have ever seen. The vastness of an entire continent is finally within their grasp. The Great Race is ready to begin. Written by Marcel Jacquin for the Gazette. Spiffing says, hey, looks like a bit like a tank engine. Welcome, Spiffing. And yes, it does look like a tank. Pretty cool, though. I wouldn't mind driving a car like that. I mean, I think that's just the engine. Not much space for to load your camping gear or your shopping, but hey. The story. Over the last 10 years, Citroën expeditions have paved the way. They have crossed the continents of Africa and Asia and tamed the Rocky Mountains of North America. And today, in 1935, that's much more recent than I realized, you are at the wheel of your own half-track. Under your command, a passionate and loyal crew is ready to compete in the greatest transcontinental race the world has ever known. In the legendary Citroën tradition, legendary at the time. I had no idea Citroën had this reputation. Anyone in the comments watching this who's a car fan and knows about Citroën's reputation? Anyway, in the legendary Citroën tradition, your crew must trek across the vastness of Africa, uncovering the continent's deepest secrets as they reveal themselves beneath your tracks. Okay. But beware, on this odyssey, the danger will come from your opponents as much as from the unforgiving lands. Your vehicle, your crew, and your courage will be the only weaponry at your disposal. In order to win, you must employ each of them wisely. Choose wisely. So, drive hard, think fast, and hang on for the mightiest endurance race in history. Well, that was fun. That was actually quite well written. I enjoyed reading that. Be noob. Nice tank gif. Thomas the Tank Engine? Yeah, okay, let's call my car Thomas. Yeah. Little Thomas, that's my vehicle. Thomas in French. Da 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 da. So I am racing against René. René. Let's find out. So, take my first turn, I guess. So I can take my first action. The first thing I have to do is, B Noob says, Citron has traditions? Yes, that's what I was thinking. The first thing I need to do is money. That's the first thing I have to do. Get money and spend money. Now, the only thing I can buy with money is petrol. I don't need any petrol or gas or fuel. Let's say fuel, that's neutral. I don't need any petrol. As you can see, my gauge is full, so I will just claim this money. I do it all at once, or spend however many people I've got to claim 40 money. So we go over to the monies. Ooh, what we got? 20 francs, 10 francs, 50 francs, 100 francs. Well, francs, sorry. I just claimed 40, so let's get a 20 and 2 10s. Let's do this. Like going to the bank. Ooh, Banque de France. André Sicilian. No idea who he is. Some kind of explorer, maybe? He's got a beret. 10 francs. That's actually really cool money. You know, that's quite well reproduced. Louis Dubois? My gosh, what a name. Dubois. 20 francs. My gosh, who thought of these names? Right, so that was my first action. It was money. And now we alternate actions, by the way. So now my opponent does their action. Little Miss Stella says he's missing his baguette. Yes. B Noob says, feels amazing, man, name reading. Yes, it does. Yes, it does feel amazing, reading names. Rob Potatoes, hi. I am well, thank you. How are you? I'm excited for this race, which is so far off to a blistering start. I've just cashed some money in. So the first thing that happens, this tells me, is we draw some terrain tiles. That's what these little circle symbols mean. That's harder to say than it sounds. So from this bag, I draw 2 terrain tiles. Now these, as you can see, on the map, there are all these circular spaces. These are the routes that I can drive. At the moment, they're blank. Every time I move on to one, I have to draw a terrain tile to see what terrain I'm driving over. And the terrain tiles look like this. Look, it's a savanna. And as you can see, to get onto that terrain tile, I have to deduct 1 fuel from my gauge. I'm spending fuel. Some of them are more dangerous than others, though. Look, there's a lion! So not only do I spend a fuel point to go over it, but there's danger there. And that danger damages my engine. I think I get to choose what damage I take. Because as you can see, my engine comprises of these yellow... Ooh, that should be on 5. These yellow tiles, gauges here. So one's my chassis, one's my actual engine. And I think if I take damage from a danger, I just apply it as I want to. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I've just drawn 2 tiles because that's the first thing that my opponent does. They have a rule where you add up the numbers on the tiles together. In this case, add up to 2. If they add up to less than 3, you place them in front of my opponent. If they add up to 3 or more, you place them in front of me. Right, so I put them in front of my opponent, who is heading for the yellow city here, according to this tile here. See, he's heading for the yellow city. So what is that yellow city? Let's find out. It is Cairo. Of course, should have been able to figure that out. It's on the Nile. So they are heading to Cairo. So that was their action. And then I draw the tiles, sorry, and then they move, they drive. They're only driving 1 space this turn, so that's fine. It costs them 1 fuel to go into that space, so I will head over to their engine, their dashboard, and reduce that fuel by 1. That's good, they're spending fuel. The more fuel they spend, the less they can do. Oh, they drive... Oh, sorry, technically that's their second action. I just remembered. So, actually, I'll get the hang of this, don't worry. So we alternate actions. I took an action, which was money. He takes an action, which is tiles. And then he moves on his second action, but I get to move anyway. I've got to take my actions anyway, but I've only got these 2 actions here, which are driving and repairing. I don't need to repair anything, so I shall drive. I can currently move 5 spaces. Okay. I'm going to head for this green city, I think, because I know that this is quite a safe route. So I'm going to go these 2 spaces, although that's some damage. That cost me 1 fuel per space, so my fuel is going down quite fast, actually. Gosh. Driving uses up fuel. I didn't know this. This is a shocking discovery to me. A revelation. Now, let me just double check what the damage thing does again. Ba-da-da-da-da. Yeah, sorry, I just want to be honest here, you know, and deal damage properly, because I take damage from coming across the lions. So I want to make sure, by looking at the rules, how the damage is resolved. Tiles, 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 tiles. Ah, there we go. Danger symbol represents a threat the player must overcome. Okay. Oh, if I don't overcome danger, which is what that triangle means, I take 2 additional vehicle damage. Oh, shoot. Well, I take 2 damage from this lion. Lion's carving up my vehicle. So I have to apportion that damage in my yellow section. Let's say I take 1 damage on my chassis and 1 damage on my... Oh, my engine. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, that may be a mistake. Oh dear. I'm going to have to do some repairs next turn. Okay, so then he moves. And then I get to move again. I'm going to move into that city. Oh, no, sorry. I've already moved into that city. Spending with my last move action. So once I'm in a city, I can draw a resource card. I am currently in the city of... yeah, that one. I'm not going to try saying that. I'm just going to insult somebody. So let's take my first resource card. Woo! It's a saboteur! This shifty guy with the eye patch. Of course he's a saboteur. Look at him. So what I can do with this card is I can play it against my opponent to sabotage his engine and deduct 2 points from his engine. That's fan-bloody-tastic. But, ooh, I can do it as an action at any time, as long as I've got a man left on my board. I'm going to say men, because, come on, this is 1935. They were all men. There are not going to be any women here. I'd like there to be. But I doubt it. So I think I might sabotage René when it is next my turn. This is my turn now, so that's going to be my next action. Haha. Because that was completing my action from last time by entering into a city. So I'm going to play that sabotage card and reduce René's engine by 2 points. No, not increase, reduce. There we go. Haha. If he gets to 0, he is not able to move? Pretty sure he's not able to move. Yeah, once your engine gets down to 0. Okay, so now it's René's turn. He's got 3 actions left. Each of his remaining meeples gives him 1 space of movement. That's what this tells me. So he can move here. That will cost him a point of fuel, and it's danger, so he'll take damage. He'll take 2 points of damage. His engine's going to be broken in no time. Haha. And then I think he'll move again. Oh no, it's my next action. I will... Oh, do I want to repair or move? I think I'd like to repair, actually. I'm going to repair. I think I will... Speed is good. Yeah, I'll repair my my engine so that I can move as fast as possible. As far as possible, as fast as possible. That's my plan. So, now it's his turn again. He can move another space if he wants to. I think René will, why wouldn't he? If he wants to, and if he has the fuel to, of course. which he's getting a bit low on fuel, so he's going to have to restock. Ah, right, that's what this means. At the end of the turn, he gets his fuel back. Ah, what? He gets loads back. And then I've got no people left. How have I got no people left? Oh, because I spent 3 on the money. Right. So now he will move. He's moved twice already, hasn't he? 3 times. So he's got 1 more move left. And I think he is going to move. Indeed, he is. He's going to move, but he's into blind territory. So we just randomly draw a tile. What's it do? Oh, it's a stop tile. It's some kind of mountains, kind of rocky mountains that stop him in his tracks. That's what this means. And it costs him a fuel to get on it, which he can afford, and does damage to him. Ooh, boy. Now, normally, as I said, the rules say that when the numbers on the tiles add up to 3 or more, he places it in front of me instead of himself, but at the moment we're taking the same path. So that's my trick to get around that. So he just stops on that tile and takes oh, he's fully damaged. He's going to have to repair, and he spends another fuel. But he repairs automatically. Damn it. Right. So now it's the bivouac phase. That's what this means. And what this tells you is each of us, my opponent and me, we draw cards from this line of 5 cards up here, these resource cards. So every turn we'll get some resource cards, which we can then hopefully use in our next turn if we want to. The numbers on that card next to the bivouac tell me which cards the first player draws and which cards the second player draws. So, or sorry, which card the Rene draws if he's the second player. So he's currently the second player, so he gets the 4th card, which is this one. So he doesn't use them, basically, I just discards them. And I get to choose 2 cards, I think. No, 1 card, because I'm the first player. First player chooses 1 card, second player takes 2 cards. So I will choose... I'll choose Saboteur again. I think that could be useful. So I'll just put that into my hand. We're dragging it to the bottom of the screen. If I can fix this, if I can make that happen. Come on. Okay. Well, never mind. There we go. In my hand. And I'm hiding my hand. B Noob says, Saboteur so toxic. Yes, I'm already wanting to sabotage my opponent, whose engine has already failed and needs repairing. And I think that's it. I'll just double check that that's all that is. It could be, it just seems a bit simple. Yeah, okay. So then we just draw new cards, I guess, to replace those. Ooh. Oh, that's a fuel card. That looks useful. Right. So that's the card. Oh, this symbol means here, in the same phase when we're allocating cards, if any of the cards left on display that haven't been chosen have the danger symbol on them, that I take damage. And in this case, I lose 2 fuel, which is bad, which is one of the reasons I took the Saboteur card, because it had the damage symbol on it. And I don't want to take damage. And then at the end of the turn, I allocate my meeples, and he gets 5 fuel and 2 engine points back as he repairs himself. Get bag. 5 fuel. But he can't go above 6, so that's something. He's fully refueled. Now, I think I would like to buy some fuel whilst I'm here. I think I need to increase. So I might get some more money at the beginning of next turn. I definitely want to get reveal some tiles so that I know where I'm driving. I can pick a safe route, hopefully. I definitely want to move. Do I want to move twice? Possibly. Now let me just check the price of fuel. Cue jokes about inflation right now. Ba 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 ba. Petrol is 10 francs. If I'm in a town, if I'm in a city, it's 10 francs per point, or it's 20 if I'm in the wilderness. So it's good to buy petrol when I'm in the city, which I currently am. Phew. Now I just remembered that I haven't been moving these tokens on the progression track. Now I moved just the once, I believe. So I just go along one space. I'm the blue one. He moved every time, didn't he? So he moved 4 times. So he's on space 4. So he's definitely now the first player, which is kind of annoying. Right. Just as a comment, by the way, I've complained in past live streams about the way Tabletopia, however you want to say it, has built some of these games where there's no kind of snapping of components to spaces. But I think there is on this one. You saw it earlier with these cards, actually. So, for example, if I take this out, flip it, and then try to put it back in this space, it snaps to it and automatically flips it over to the face side up. That is what I was talking about. That's what I like. That's what I want from these games to be built by. Well done, whoever constructed the Great Race for Tabletopia. Well done. User-friendly so far. Okay. I also get 10 francs, I think, for being in second place. At the end of each turn, I get 20 francs if I'm in first place or 10 francs if I'm in second place. I'm currently in second place because he's so much further along the progress track than I am. Okay. B Noob says, this is great to interact with. Oh, thank you. Summarizing all my key points, my key review points. So he goes first. Yeah, he goes first. I draw a new card. Let's find out what happens. Stack. There we go. First thing he does is draw 2 tiles. Okay. I should remember that because that's like the same thing every single time. Got 2 tiles. There's a snake! A dangerous snake! And a plain of mountains, but it's a big plain, so it costs more fuel to cross. And damages your engine. I guess it's the heat of the rough terrain. Not good. So collectively, those tiles, these alone adds up to 3, and this adds up to 2. Adds another 3 because each danger symbol counts as 1. So that's collectively 6. So he's going to place them in front of me. I'm just going the same way as him. I kind of... I guess that means he'll place them like here and here because he's in front of a city. That's my guess. So it's going to be in my way if I want to head south. That's annoying. Anyone remember what I did with my Saboteur card? I drew a Saboteur card, didn't I? Well, I'll play it as my first action. And reduce his engine to nothing. So he can't move. Lol. Let me just check that. Can he move if the engine gets down to nothing? Ba 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 ba. Sorry. Yeah. Engine. Scroll. Give the motion sickness. Try not to read. Damage. No, that's okay. It must be described here somewhere. Cannot exceed your engine gauge level at the start of your driver action. The car stops once you reach 0, and it's broken down. And you have to repair it. So you won't be able to repair it to the end of his turn. He's stuck. He's stuck in the wilderness. Lols. So now is my chance to get ahead of him. Oops, so sorry. Cashed in. Oh no, that can't be my first action. That can't be my first action. Before I do any actions, I need to buy petrol. Damn it. Do the rules, Robin. Damn it. So I get my money and I buy petrol. That's the first thing I do. That's a shame. Well, I have money. I have this pile of francs, which is 4 10s and a 20. What's that, 60? And it cost me 10 per point of fuel. I only want to spend 30 to get, because I only need 3 points. There we go. So I'll just spend 30. Ooh, ooh. There we go. Still got 30 francs left over. Nice. So that was my first action, unfortunately. So I couldn't sabotage him, so he can move. Curse him. I mean, that's clever. That's a clever way to make sure that you don't just sabotage your opponents to keep them stuck. Anyway, his action will be to move. And his basic move is 1. So he's going to go into this city here, which will cost him a fuel point. Annoyingly, he fully refueled at the end of last turn. And gives him 2 cards. I won't bother drawing cards for him. No, maybe I will, because it technically does affect the cards that come out, so I will draw cards. He's in Cairo. He's having a nice time in Cairo now. Oh, have a nice time. Blah, 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 blah. Go away. By the way, he's heading... This card says he's heading for a green city. So he's going for a... Kisangani. The shortest route is down here, this way. I just want to get to this city over here, Cap Town, as the game calls it. What's the best route, do you think? Because this is dangerous. I don't think I want to go that way, so maybe I will go... Ah, but no, I have to stop. I can ignore stop signs. I can only ignore stop signs if I have a guide card. I need a special card to ignore a stop sign. I don't think that card is currently available. Nah. Alright. So I can't make any progress unless I face the danger this time. So I'm going to have to take some damage. Oh no, I've got a fella here to ignore the damage. The danger, sorry. Lovely. I will do that then. So for my next action, I will sabotage this fella to stop him moving any further. And then he'll have an action, but he can't do anything because all he can do is move. So he'll have to pass. And I forgot he did move 1 space, so I shall do that. Now it's my next action. I will move. No, I will draw tiles because I can move up to 5 spaces, right? So I think I currently can only progress 2 spaces without knowing what I'm going to face. So I will use this action to draw 2 tiles. What we got? Another lion, danger, and some sand dunes. But with my caterpillar tracks, I can get over them. Not too bad. I mean, a bit of damage, I guess. Sand. It's the sand getting in the tracks and getting in the engine, because, you know, I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere. Let's put the danger at the very end of this track, shall we? Let's get across the desert safely. So he is going to pass his next action because his engine's broken by my saboteur. And I will move. That'll cost me 2 fuel, that'll cost me 2 fuel, and that'll cost me 1. So that's as far as I can go. So I shall move here. That'll cost me all my fuel. Definitely need to refuel. Definitely. I'll ignore that first danger as I did that. He'll pass. I will then use my last action to either repair or move, except I have no fuel. So I'll just repair, I guess. Oh no, I did take damage actually, didn't I? I only took 1 damage, so I'll just repair that damage. I'll take it on the caterpillar track and then give it back. Right. So, that's my turn over. That was quite quick, actually. I guess because he wasn't doing anything. So the next thing is, he is the first player. So he takes card number 3. Oh, he takes the fuel. Bloody hell. That's annoying. And he will take, I can take 2 cards now because I'm in second place. This is an interesting kind of balancing rule it has. Whoever's in first position takes 1 card. Whoever's in second position takes 2 cards. So that's quite clever. That allows me to ignore danger because I get some guarded troops. That could be useful, actually. That could be very useful because I think I might need some money. That gives me 5 fuel. I'm definitely taking that. That caterpillar track gives me a free repair. I'm taking these 2 because they are awesome. Oh, I know where my saboteur card is. It was in my hand. I hid it deliberately and then forgot it was there. So let's take that out. I played it. And put these in my hand. Oh, if I can get it to work. There we go. They're in my hand. I'm going to hide my hand. Must remember that. Okay. Yeah, that was that. We'll just draw some new cards. Fuel's in third place again. Not great, but it could be worse. Now I need to plan my move. So I've got a card that means I can ignore the danger from this lion, which is good. I think I'm going to head for this blue city here. What is it? Kananga. Huh. Kananga. I'm going to head for Kananga. I think I could win this, hey? I'm doing all right. Look at this. I haven't got very far to go. Ba-da-da-da-da. So let's get some money because I do need to refuel, though. I have no fuel. And it costs me 20 per point to buy fuel in the wilderness. So I've got 30 francs. That will give me 40. That'll allow me 2 fuel points. Maybe I will double up here and reveal some tiles and get a card. Repairing would be useful as well as moving. I've got a card that allows me to ignore danger, so I will double up on that one so I can move and I can repair and move. He's still first player, which is really irritating. At the end of his turn, he gets 4 fuel back. Well, he didn't move, so he's basically on full fuel. And he repairs 3 points of his engine. Damn it. Can't damage his engine this turn. He's going to get really ahead of me. Right, so the next card is drawn. Oh, I already did it. Was that the same card? Oh, he's heading for a red city. This time. And he gets to move 2 spaces with that first move. Oh, he's going to be really fast this time. Great. He's heading for a red city, which is this one. Oh, no. So, in what I haven't been doing, although maybe I should. No, it hasn't applied yet. So, I forgot. If he reaches the city that he's aiming for, determined by this card, in this case, it's a red city, then René Estienne, my enemy, my nemesis, my opponent, he gets some kind of special ability each time he reaches his objective in the turn that he aimed to get there. And I think he will reach it this time because it's only 2 spaces away. His what he gets is... Let's go through this. No, is that right? No. I've gone past it. Some kind of legacy rules. They call them legacy. Oh no, it's at the bottom of the rules. My apologies. Showing you the rules is fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely fascinating. So he's now got special abilities because he will reach his objective. Here we are. So he gets permanently. He can go up to 7 fuel. Great. And red cities means, because at the moment I'm playing level 1 difficulty, just so you know. When the torpedo, that's the name of René's car, the torpedo, draws a danger card during the bivouac phase, the player, that's me, suffers the damage indicated on the card. Oh. Right, so he's gonna hurt me. Great. So actually he's now up to 7. Permanently up to 7, because I think he reached the yellow city, didn't he, on his turn? Well, no, was it the green? What was it? His first target was yellow, yeah, and he reached that. No, he didn't, actually. Okay, so, sorry. When he gets... So, actually, by reaching the red city this turn, he will get the one ability that will really annoy me, which is he'll be able to damage me. He'll be able to sabotage me. Okay, never mind. So, his first action is always draw 2 tiles. So what we got? Haha. Stop tile and another stop tile, but they add up to 3, so he places them on my path. Darn. So he's going to place them in my way. I guess like that. Right? That would be the sensible thing. So I have to go across one of them. What have we got? We've got a river and a wildfire. Oh dear. Ooh, dearie, dearie, dear. So now it's my turn. I take an action. My action will be... Oh, I just realised I moved. To get 10 francs and then spend money. Why bother? I got 10 francs. Plus my 30 francs equals 40 francs, which allows me to get 2 points of fuel. Desperately need money to buy more fuel. This is tough, man. I mean, I'm impressed that you can get fuel in the wilderness. There can't be that many garages around 1935 African desert. Can't be many around today. Right, so I need to get my blue car, my tank, Thomas, to overtake the torpedo. Currently I am ahead, but I haven't moved enough times to get ahead, whereas he can move enough times. Although he'll stop when he reaches his destination, which currently is the city of Aswan. Right. So then it's his turn, and we're looking at... He just moves. His default move is 2, so he moves into this empty space here, but because he doesn't know what's there, we have to draw it. Oh, come on. He gets a savannah. He draws all the painful stuff for me and then just gets a savannah for himself. I'm an egg. So it cost him 1 fuel, so he's down to 6. And he just moves here. Another -1 fuel. And he gets a card, which we'll ignore, unless it's a danger card. And he's reached his destination, so now he's got the power to do damage to me. Great. Right, my turn. Do I draw tiles? Yes. I can only move 2... Well, I've only got 2 fuel, so I can only move as far as that gets me. This one costs 2, so I guess I actually might as well go for this city here. Kisangani. Because when I'm in the city, fuel costs less, right? So I might as well go there to get cheaper fuel. So that's... let's get a resource card instead of tiles. Resource card could be helpful. Nice, that gives me a free repair. That's pretty good. Oh, I just remembered I've got this fuel card. Nice. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. So his turn, he won't do anything because he's reached his destination, so it's my turn again. I will reveal tiles because this could be a chance to make a lot of progress, right? Yep, I'm going to put them there because I'm going to go head south. What have we got? A snake! Danger! And it's thick forest, I guess, so it's -2 fuel. And the river with rocks, which stops me. Okay. Oh, that reminds me of the stop sign. I need a guide card to ignore stop signs, so I can't get to the city. I'm going to stop regardless. Ooh, maybe I will put this here then instead, so that I can drive around this horrible wilderness here, where all the tiles stop me. So I will, for my next one, I can move twice or repair and move. But I've only got 2 fuel. Let's just think about this. But I want to stop in a city anyway. That costs me 2 fuel. Right, let's think about this. I shouldn't have bought fuel, should I? Should have played that card and just refueled fully instead of spending money on... that was a bad play. Got what was in my hand. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I will move. I've got to move. So I move... Oh, no, not the whole tile, just me. Into there. That cost me 1 fuel. Or was it 2 fuel? Yeah, it was 2 fuel because it's forest. So I could move into it, but I'm out of fuel now, so I can't move any further. There's danger, which would damage me, except I have this card. A whole guard of armed men on horseback to escort me past the snake. Gonna use that card to ignore the danger. That was probably not the best use of that, was it? Then I might... Ooh. It's tempting to... I'm on 0 fuel now. It's tempting to use my card to completely refuel and then move further. Well, I just moved it, so I must remember to do that. I might do that. I might play this card. Completely refuel. Presumably the armed guards brought some petrol with them. That helps. I'm just thinking. So I can get to that city, and then I get there and get to that city, which would be Kananga. Yeah. I'm going to aim for Kananga. Ignore this yellow city here. Porto Novo. Newport, I guess. And a boring name when you translate it, isn't it? Yep, we're going for Kananga. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to drive blind into this territory here. See what happens. So, last action, going to move. So, it'll cost me 1 fuel point to go into Porto Novo. I get a resource card, though, which is nice. Very nice. What do I get? I get a lady pilot, which gives me an extra drive action. Nice. A nice... I take it back about the absence of women. I take it back. I do have a woman on my team. Lovely. I love this artwork, by the way. Don't know about you guys. I love this kind of etching style artwork, and it's lovely artwork. You know, it's really kind of... It's that perfect balance between realistic and, you know, comic booky. Really good art. Obviously, I'm highlighting the woman because it's the most attractive card yet. Bum-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum. Vroom, 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 vroom. So I've driven into Porto Novo. I would like to go further. I can't, can I? Because I've got no more actions left. Unless I use the lady. She's arrived straight away and I'm using her. No, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to play it safe and just stop here, buy another bit of fuel, and then whatever. So I'm going to allocate 10 money. Well, maybe I should get more money. I definitely want to draw tiles to find out how far I can go. I might want to draw 2 sets of tiles, so I will do that. Driving is important, and I think danger is worth warding off. Oh, that means I can ignore... That action can also be used to remove bad tiles from the board. That's quite useful. Okay. Let's find out what happens here. So at the end of the turn, we draw resource cards. He's still in first position, so he takes the first card. So he gets this repair action, which doesn't matter. I get... Oh no, I get to pick 2 cards, don't I? Which 2 do I want? Again, ignoring danger could be useful. I think that is good. And then a repair card, I've got one. A fuel card? Fuel or repairs? Fuel or repairs? I feel fuel at the moment seems to be a bit more of a useful commodity, particularly because it costs money. So Put that into my hand. I've reached my hand limit. Yep, back because my chassis, this tells me how many cards I can hold. Oh, my chassis was damaged, and I'm down to, oh gosh, only 4 cards. I promise it was on 4 before I messed with it. So those cards, yep, they're fine. Luckily, there's no damage symbols on the cards remaining, so no damage is done to me by my opponent, which is good. And then he gets 4 more fuel, which takes him up to his full complement of 7. And he gets 3 repairs, so he's back up to his full engine strength. Great. Great. Ah, gotta stall him. I mean, I am ahead, but I feel like he can make a lot of progress with his plentiful fuel. And this terrible territory in front of me. Okay, well, he's still in first position, which is irritating, but the first thing he does is draw 2 tiles. What's he got? That adds up to 3, so he's going to be placing it in front of me. That is just the 3. Whoa, you can just drive through the jungle. That's a beautiful little jungle, by the way. But yeah, -3 fuel for powering through the jungle. And that's kind of cool. At least there's no danger there. It's just annoying. So I think well, he's going to put it in front of me. So he's going to do that. And I guess that. It is unclear. The rules say he puts it on my path. But, you know, where exactly? Unknown. Right. So now it's my turn. I get my money. I get 10 francs, and it costs 10 francs to buy fuel, which is what I'm going to do to get up to full fuel. So, yeah, I'm just going to... Won't bother drawing the money itself. Let's see. Here's my little car in Porto Novo. And I want to drive down to Kananga, I think. Or Kampala. I could make it to Kampala. I've got the fuel. Oh, no, I don't. That's collectively, that's -2, that's -1, that's -3. So that's 6. And I only have 5 fuel unless I use it all up and use my card to give me that last bit of fuel. Nah. That'll just take me to this jungle. So, yeah, I'll aim for Kananga. That's where I'm going. I may, however, play some tiles to try to stop more nasty tiles coming from the other feather. But anyway, it's his turn. His first action is to drive. He drives 2 spaces, but he's driving blind. But he gets the easy route, crying out loud. Damage to his engine, sure, across the hot, arid, rocky plains. But still, only -1 fuel. -2 fuel. He can do both of those. So it's -3 damage to his engine. So he's down to 3. And then, what did I say? -3 fuel. So down to 4. He can still move. And he's moved again, so he's getting further ahead of me. This is really annoying. Right. He's heading for... Oh, sorry. His goal is... I haven't actually drawn a new card, have I? So that may not be the case. He only draws 1 card. Whoops. So I'll take away that second tile. My mistake. Forgot to draw a new card. So he only gets 2 damage and -1 fuel. He's a bit slower, but not really. Right, my turn. What am I going to do? Tiles, I think. I need to know what I'm going to drive into. So we'll draw some tiles. Nice. Those look like much friendlier tiles than just the -3 fuel. Although damage is bad. Ooh, that's really bad. Forest. Trees and then mountains. Oof, rough terrain. So I'm not going to put that there. I'm going to put that there, I think. Because I may be able to get to Namib. that the capital of Namibia? Is that where Namibia is? I always thought Namibia was more central. Huh. Well, learn something new every day. B-Noob says, monkeys, -2 fuel and damage, yes. Yeah, where are the monkeys? There's a danger. Okay, so that was my turn. I drew some tiles. And his turn is going to be moving again. But he's moving blind. He only moves one space. Oh, and he's heading for a blue town. Oh, actually, so he's going to go here. -1 fuel. Why is he drawing such good tiles? Ah, so annoying. He's going to reach his destination. Djibouti. Djibouti. I've heard of Djibouti. I like Djibouti. It's a pickup line that's never worked for me. Right. I think he's going to win. I mean, he's making slow progress because he stops when he hits the city. So I'm technically, geographically, slightly ahead of him. But I've got such a horrible mess ahead of me. You know? Oh, dear. So now my question is, do I... Oh, first-time chatter, Adam Pudliner. Hey. Says, hey, how are you? I'm well, thank you, Adam. How are you? B-Noob says, how can that pickup line not work? Well, pickup line of I like Djibouti, which is where my opponent is going, just doesn't work. Adam says, doing great. Oh, glad to hear, Adam. Are you a fan of board games? Have you played this game, The Great Race? I think it's new as of 2020, so it's about a year and a bit old now, nearly 2 years old. And it was kickstarted, and I think there may be an expansion for it, but I don't actually know. I haven't looked. So if anyone's played this game, please let me know. Let me know if you enjoyed it. So far, I'm enjoying it. I really am. I need... Adam says, I like board games a lot, mainly play solo. No, I haven't seen this one, but it looks good. Well, Adam, good news for you. This is a solo mode. This is a solo game. Well, it's not. It's a multiplayer game, but it has a solo mode. So I think it's 4 players normally, up to, obviously, 4 players, or you can play solo against the board, which is what I'm doing now. My enemy, René, is about to achieve his objective again, and then I've got another superpower, which will... Anyway. Adam says, nice, I will definitely check it out. Yeah. Well, you can play it for free on Tabletopia, which is what I'm using now. .com, I think. Tabletopia.com. And you can create a free account and play this game. Yeah. B-Noob says, solo mode be like stare. Right. Where was I? Was it my turn? Yes. Yes, it was. Okay. So, nuts. Do I reveal more tiles? I think that's probably the safe bet to try to stop him sabotaging my route with bad tiles. -2 to drive along a river, across a river. Nice forest, though. Oh, -2 and 2 damage to my engine. Okay. Well, it's not ideal. But -2 fuel is to get to Namibia, or Namib, I think is better than that. So, I mean, right now I just want to get to Kananga. Right, so I need to move next. So I drew 2 more tiles. Ooh, do I have a... Yeah, okay. He's going to move. He moves 1 space. There you go. He uses 1 fuel to do that. No damage. Is safe and sound in the city. He takes the card and gets there. Oh, I forgot to replenish these cards. Oops. Ooh, what's that? Oh, like a river crossing. That's cool. That's a lot of people. Hired, I hope, to ferry that boat with the car on across the way. Not slaves, I hope. It lets me ignore a stop tile. That's useful. Uh-oh. This is a dastardly person who's a danger. Saboteur? I don't know. I'm not sure what he is. Let's find out. Let's find out what that card does. Right, looking at the rules. Sorry for the motion blur. Just, oh, we'll get that. We'll get that. Here we go. He's a trail hunter. They enjoy finding their own way. I can discard 2 terrain tiles from anywhere on the board. Oh, okay. That's actually quite useful. Quite useful. Right. Oh, also, I should look up what special power my enemy now has. Because he reached his target. Okay. Blue City. He made it to Djibouti. So he gets... no longer required to stop its movement when encountering a stop symbol. Not that he encountered any anyway so far, but now they don't matter. Bloody hell. Pardon my French. Huh. I am playing a French driver for Citron. It is the Frenchman in me who is swearing. It is not me. Maybe I should commit to doing this entire thing in a French accent. I don't think it would go well, do you? Anyway, right, finally, my turn. I'm going to move. I'm going to do some driving. I'm going to go into here. That cost me 2 fuel and 1 damage to my engine. I will take the damage on my engine rather than my chassis, because I've got 4 cards in my hand and I don't want to lose any of them. So that cost me 2 fuel, didn't it? If it did. And then I will move another space. So I'm moving. Let's move myself up the progress track. So I'm in a city. That cost me a fuel to get into a city, and then I get a card. Nice. I can keep moving beyond this. I think I will. I'll look at that card in a moment. Actually, no, look at it now. Ooh! Ooh! Some kind of surveyor. Can add tiles. Ooh, that's useful. But I only have 4, a hand of 4. I could play this card now to give myself a repair. And make space. Yeah, I'll do that. Is that cheating? Nah, I'm choosing to play this card, which is my right, to make a repair. And keep this card in my hand. I could have repaired my hand limit there, actually, and kept them all. Never mind. Right, so I can move up to 5 spaces, so I shall continue to move as long as I've got fuel. The next one will cost me 1 fuel. And 2 damage. Ooh, okay. Well, it can't be. It has to be to my movement, right? So I've just moved 3 spaces. That's the furthest I can move now. Okay. So that's that done. He won't do. My opponent René will not be doing any actions because he's made his destination. He's a bit slow. He's getting a bit slow. Look how far ahead I am. And then it's my turn, and this allows me to either get rid of a tile or ignore a danger that comes up. Well, since I'm not going to move, I could just ignore a tile. Is there a tile that I'd like to get rid of? -2 fuel. -2 fuel. Not particularly, to be honest. Maybe I should have done that earlier. Yes, that would have been smart, wouldn't it? But whilst I've got a little assistant on my board, one of my team members, I can play cards in my hand. So it's tempting to give myself another move action. Actually, yes, because then I can buy fuel. I'm going to do that. I'm going to... No, I'm not. I mean, I'm going to move again, but what I'm going to do is do it when I've got... after I've done some other stuff. So the first thing I might do is... Actually, I'm just double check. Is that as far as I can move in any given turn? Or is that as far as I can move in one move? Let's just check this. Because otherwise, if I move now, I'll be breaking the rules, and I don't want to break the rules. It's the petrol gauge right at the top. Rulebook scrolling. It's a fun game. Right. Petrol gauge. That's the amount of petrol left. Engine gauge indicates the integrity of the engine and the maximum number of tiles you can travel during a drive action. Okay, so I can. Yeah. I can take another drive action and move up to 3 spaces, which works for me. So I want to end my turn in that city. I will need more fuel to do that. So let's spend this card to increase my fuel by 1, which gives me up to 3, which will be just enough to cross this tile and spend a fuel to enter the city of Namib, which is great. So I will then spend this card to take another drive action, which is 3 spaces. And I'm here. Cost me all my fuel, but it's fine because I can buy fuel. And there are no dangers to overcome, so that doesn't matter. I get a card for being in a city. Lovely jubbly. What do I get? Oh, I meet some nice European strangers. Yes. Greet the white faces. Ignore the black ones. I'm guessing they're missionaries or something. Plus 30 francs. I'm cashing that in now. Yeah. No point hanging on to that. Bloody hell. There's nice. These missionaries, they're very kind, aren't they? Whew. Very nice folks. Oh. Very nice folks. There we go. 30 francs. That's good because I need money for fuel. Whoa, free money. It's great, isn't it? Tempted to use this surveyor now to try to... Because if I place 3 tiles now, I am only 4 spaces away, including the final space, from my destination to win this game. So if I play him now, that's 3 tiles, and I just need to reveal that that's it, actually. Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Going to play him now. Use my surveying machine, my sextant. Lol, sex. Let's see, how bad are these tiles? Let's find out. Ooh, -3 fuel and 2 damage to my engine. No, that gorgeous looking jungle is not my friend. So I'm going to place that to the side. But -1 fuel to cross this nice savannah. That's definitely going in front of me. -2 fuel and -1 damage. That's not too bad. I can live with that, I think. That would use up, because I can only... It cost me 10 francs for 1 point of petrol. I'm on 0, so I got 30 francs. That means I can go up to 3 points of petrol. So that means I could move across these 2 tiles. Yeah, quite easily. So I think that's the way to go. That's the way to lay that out. Right, and there's no dangers to worry about in that journey. And I've got a card that helps me ignore danger. I could use this to remove a tile. Is there a tile I'd like to remove? I mean, might as well. Just remove this nasty -3, -2 tile just for the sake of it. I think it's discarded, actually, rather than put it in this black bag over here. There we go. Right, so end of the turn. And we draw resource cards. B Noob says wicked tiles. Yeah, I think so. I think they're cool tiles. Unless you meant wicked in terms of what handy tiles to draw. Wicked. Or did you mean like the artwork? Because I like the artwork a lot, actually. Oops. This is the card I'm looking at. So he's still the first player, so he takes the first card in the line, which is that one. Oh, the ferry. The really useful ferry that lets him ignore stop signs, which he already ignores thanks to his superpower. Bloody hell. Took the card that I really wanted. I get to pick 2, though. What's this card? Ooh. Oh, my gosh. So I can take a boat or an airship for 50 francs. That's an action. I mean, that's awesome. But that only connects these ports here, I think. Although they all have... See these symbols on the board? These are obviously ports. And, oh, I see. It costs 100 francs to travel by boat to Tananarive. Tananarive? Tananarive. Gosh. And then another 50 francs. So actually, I could take that journey with that card. That means I could take this boat for just 50 francs instead of 100, which is useful. It also had a symbol of an airship on it. You see the little zeppelin there? I feel like that's an inappropriate name to use because I am French after all. What do we have? We've got B Noob says, in reply to my question about wicked tiles, are they referring to the rules on the tiles or the artwork on the tiles? And B Noob says, bit of both. Artwork is great. The 3 fuel, 2 damage one was bad though, game-wise. Yes, it was. So I'm glad to be rid of it. I don't see on this board any indication of an airport. I see dotted lines with routes for boats, and I see nothing about airships. So what do the rules say about airships? I know it's under the rule that's called transport, so I just look for transport. In the Great Race, it is permissible to use sea and air modes of transport when travelling between certain cities. The costs associated with these journeys are indicated along the transport line. A player may use one or more transport cards to offset the cost. Oh, I see. Remember, the transport lanes form a path, so make sure you can afford the trip. And then it uses the example of the boats. Swifto the Slow, hello, says, if you take the airship, just be sure to have your ticket or Indy might throw you off. Yes. Oh, classic. Oh, I love Indiana Jones so much. As it happens, I'm not going to take an airship because there's no... I'm pretty sure there would be a port, like an airport marked on the map since the boat routes are marked. This is Africa, and I know that in the physical copy of the game, this is a double-sided map. So this is Africa, and on the other side, I think maybe Europe or America. So maybe the airships are only available in Europe, in America, as we know. Maybe it would be, perhaps, a Nazi airship, upon which I better have my ticket. Otherwise, some waiter with a very strong American accent might throw me off. I've always loved that joke. Always loved that moment where he says no ticket, and they suddenly all get their tickets out. It's hilarious. It's funny because it's one of those jokes where it could come across as really lame and cheesy, but it doesn't because it's just so well done. But at the same time, when I got older, I started thinking about it because he goes around. Remember this in the scene? He goes to the first passengers and he says, "Reise Kart, meine Damen und Herren," or something. He says it in German, basically. And then the passenger says, "Was?" And he goes, "Ticket, please." And I find it funny that he says it in German and then says it in English. And then he turns to the whole group of passengers on the ship and says, "No ticket," after he throws them out. And yeah, sure, most of the world understands English, even back in the 1930s when that's set. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade takes place in 1938. But part of me is still like, the majority of the passengers there are Nazi Germans, right? And in 1938, I think there won't have been that many foreigners in Nazi Germany taking tourist trips, So part of me does think, it's funny that they all understand and respond to the English no ticket and not the German. Anyway, Indiana Jones digression over. Let's get back to the game. I can't remember where I was. I was choosing cards, that's right. So I won't bother with this card because I don't think I'm going to take a boat or an airship. This card, if I don't take this card, then this damage counter means my opponent can damage my engine, and I don't want that. So I think I will take the Trail Hunter. I may just discard him, to be honest, I don't know, but I'm going to stop. This is hate drafting there. Although it's reverse hate drafting. I'm damaging myself by giving myself less good options. And I will take a repair card because they're useful. Let's take a repair card. Right. Adam Pudliner says, yeah, and the passengers in Indiana Jones don't think anything of him being an American. I know. It's like, I'm not sure the same culture was in place. Perhaps it was in Europe. Even, it's a continent with no hard borders, really. back then, it was quite possible for people to travel very easily. So maybe they were used to the staff being foreigners and not being natural-born Germans. I don't know, but I feel like 1930s Nazi Germany, probably the staff were German. Anyway, then again, there were plenty of Americans who liked the Nazis and went off to join them, weren't there? Yeah. So maybe they were used to some Americans being around. Anyway. Yes, enter that. Let's replenish the cards. Ooh. Oh, he's a sinister looking fellow. Danger icon, and he swaps tiles around. Ooh, I love that. Character design. Who is he? Let's find out. What's his official title? That shifty looking fella is a con artist, naturally. And then 2 more cards. Oh, another surveyor and more repair. That's useful. Okay, that's useful. So I'm going to decide what to do with my people. I need fuel. I need lots of fuel. I can buy 3 points of fuel with that. And I think I will get another 20 francs to completely stock up. That's my plan. I could do with some repairs. Yep. I have a repair card. But I have 3 points of damage across my whole engine. So I think I'll put 2 in my repair/drive action, because that means I can move. And then I'll put a guy in tiles, because I think I do want to reveal tiles. Assuming the sodding, my opponent, René, doesn't plonk 2 tiles in front of me again. I bet he will. He's done it every single turn so far. And then, yeah, I guess that's it. That's going to be my turn. I'm so close. I'm so close to winning. I'm so much further ahead than René. So much further ahead. Okay. He gets 5 fuel back and 2 points of repair. So he's back up to full strength on his engine and back up to full tank on his fuel, because tank can't go above 7, thankfully. Right. Ugh, how annoying. He still goes first because he's the first player. Ugh. That seems wrong, you know? I'm so much further ahead than him. But you only move these tokens on the progress bar when they move for each move action. He's just taken a lot more than me, which is really irritating. So the first thing he does is draw 2 tiles. Let's find out what happens. It's a rhino. Ooh, it's a danger. No surprises there. -1 fuel and -1 engine damage. Plus the danger symbol, which counts as 1. That means that tile adds up to 3. So it goes. They both go minus. Ooh, wow! Like crossing a gigantic tree that's fallen across a great crevasse. Very Tarzan or King Kongy. B-Noob says, what a cute fat unicorn. Yes, that is a very cute fat unicorn, isn't it? So they both go in front of me. The rhino's definitely the one that's least harmful to me, so I'm going to put that there and adjacent to my destination of Cape Town, or Cap Town, and put the really annoying one in a place that doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, I suppose it should go adjacent to me, perhaps. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, I've done it. I've done it now. Doesn't matter. My victory is probably assured, I hope. So it's my turn. My first action has to be the money. So I'm getting 20 francs for them, and then I'm going to buy fuel. So, oh, why is my fuel back on full? It wasn't. But it is now, because I'm going to spend all 50 francs to refuel. I must have accidentally scrolled with my mouse when I did that. Oh, come on. No, I just want... There you go. Right, I'm back up to full fuel. Nice. Now it's his go. He's going to move. First thing I need to do is find out what he's doing. He's heading for a green city. So he's going to head for Kisangani. And he's moving just one space. Oh, but every subsequent move with his assistance, he can move 2 spaces. So he's going to make it. He's definitely going to make it. But he's flying blind. He's driving blind. So he can move 1 space. So I draw 1 tile. And it's buffalo. A herd of buffalo. Look out for the little lion cub called Simba. -2 fuel and -1 engine point. Only -1. You're driving through that herd of buffalo. You're only getting 1 damage to your... Interesting. I guess they will get out of your way, but they've got horns, man. And there's a lot of them. Right. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Maybe I should answer that. Maybe I should ignore it. I'll ignore it. Find out who they are later. Right. So that was his move. Now it's my move. Can I sabotage him? I have no way of sabotaging, do I? I don't. Damn it. That's really irritating. I can repair, but I don't need to repair yet. Ooh, actually, it might be useful to repair so I can move more spaces. I need to move more spaces, I do. Okay, so... yeah, let's play my repair card. Let's get my vehicle back to full strength, shall we? So let's give myself a point on the... ooh, just 1 point on my engine, so I can travel 4 spaces instead of just 3. Then it's his turn. He will travel again. Again, going blind. Let's see. Oh, the danger. He can't ignore danger, so he gets another 2 points of... I forgot from the... So having just whinged about the wildebeest doing... I think I called them buffalo, actually, but no, they're wildebeest. Doing minimal damage. They actually... It's 1 point of damage just for making the journey. And then if you can't ignore the danger, which my opponent can't because he doesn't have abilities like I do, security guards, then he takes 2 additional damage. So that's fine. The next tile is relatively harmless, although ooh, taking 2 damage to the engine, he's very close to not being able to move. Ooh. And then 2 fuel as well. And he moves 1 space. Okay, so now it's my turn. What am I going to do? Repair again, I think. Because all I need is 1 good move. Yeah. So I repair my hand of cards. So I'm just going... So I take 2 damage from these 2 tiles together. I can ignore the danger from the rhino thanks to my security guards. I could, if I wanted, actually use this fella, my trail hunter, to remove 2 tiles from my path, and then use this action here to add 2 new tiles. But then I could make it worse, and I don't want to. Plus, I kind of like the idea about driving past a rhino with an escort of armed cavalrymen. So I think what I will do is spend this action to draw a card. No, I won't. Because I can only use my cards as long as I've got Meeple's assistance on my board. And once I drive with this one, he won't be on the board. So I think I've got to drive now. Sadly. Oh, let's hope this works. So I move 1. It costs me 1 fuel. I move 2. By the way, I'm moving. He moved twice already. It costs me 2 fuel and damage. How many cards have I got in my hand? 2. So I can afford to take damage to my chassis. That cost me... Did I say 2 fuel? Yes. Darn it. So I've only got 2 fuel left. This cost me 1 fuel. I will move into here. It costs me 1 fuel, another damage, and danger. But that reduces me to 1 point of fuel left. I have a card in my hand. The armed cavalry escort, which I can use to ignore the rhino. Hopefully they just scare it off. I don't want them to kill it. You know, leave the rhino alone. Just scare it away from my valuable Thomas the Tank Engine. Phew. I take more damage to my engine, but this time I think it doesn't matter because I can go down to this, which reduces me to just being able to hold 2 cards in my hand. But I only have 1 card now, so it doesn't matter. And then for my final move in this single move action, I will go to my destination city, which costs 1 fuel, Cape Town, to enter. And that takes me down to big, fat, 0 fuel. I did it! I made it! Yeah! I did it! I did it! Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No eating here tonight. No, no, no eating here tonight. Look at that. Cape Town. Made it all the way. Just drove down, actually, just the center of Africa. Look at me. Just went vroom, straight down the middle. And then kind of stuck to the coast once I got to Porto Novo. Hey, hey, I won. I beat the AI. I beat the board. I beat René Estienne, who's stuck up here. Couldn't even get into Kisangani. I mean, it's his go now, so he will get into Kisangani, and then he'll stop there. But, you know, let's give him that honor at least. He made it to the city. But that's it. I won. I beat him. Yeah. Gosh. Well, that was quite satisfying. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. B-Noob says, Renee flips the board. Yeah. Adam says, good job. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm surprised how well that worked, actually. That was, reading the rules, I thought this was going to be slightly harder than it was. I mean, I had a miserable stretch here with all these tiles with the stop signs on that say you can't go any further. So I was almost stalled there, especially with these dangerous lion and snake discouraging me from getting to Porto Novo. But I think I had to change my plan, didn't I? I was going to head to Kisangani, and then the lion and the stop sign got in the way. So I thought, well, I'll go to Porto Novo instead, which actually turned out to be a better thing because that means you only have to risk 1 tile between Porto Novo and Kananga here. And getting to the cities to stock up on fuel is really useful. Bill Miss Stella says, yeah, good game. Oh, thanks. And thank you to the designers, and thank you all especially for joining me. Overall thoughts on this game from me are actually really good. I enjoyed that. Surprisingly easy to play. I thought the AI would be tougher, but confession time, I played it on level 1 difficulty. This is the setup for level 1 difficulty, and there's actually a kind of semi-campaign mode where you can increase the difficulty, and you do that by shuffling cards into this deck that are tougher, more beneficial to your opponent than to you. Which, actually, to be honest, those cards are already pretty beneficial to my opponent, so I'm terrified about what on earth they do. Oh, you know what? I got something completely wrong there. This card, he draws 3 tiles and places them in front of me. Huh. Should have paid attention to that. Never mind. Didn't make a difference because he only had to place 2 tiles to complete my route to the city, to Cape Town. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's suddenly raining really, really hard outside, which I can't tell you how happy that makes me. It's been weeks now since we had rain, even longer since we had heavy rain, and suddenly we've got a monsoon outside, and I bloody love it. It's been hot here in the UK. It's been a heat wave, and I've been melting. And my poor mum came to visit at the weekend, and she had heat stroke. She came all this way to visit me and then got heat stroke. So it was quite terrifying, to be honest. But everything's all right. She's okay. She recovered in very quickly. Just got some water into her. But thank goodness for this. Oh, the grass may finally start to turn green again. If it continues like this, at least. Now, I'm actually going to be unable to do a live stream next week, sadly. So, I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the comments. Adam says, what are considered hot in the UK? Well, it was 40 degrees here, 40 degrees Celsius, which I know for a lot of places is kind of normal, but it's not for the UK. And it was, when it wasn't 40 degrees at this peak, in the days running up to it and the days coming down from it, it was in the 30s, the mid to high 30s. Little Miss Stella says, yep, it has been very muggy here. Yeah, that's the worst thing about British heat. It's never a dry heat. It's a wet heat. It's muggy. Ugh, so oppressive. Anyway, the main problem is that we British are not built for it, and we don't build our buildings for it. We build our buildings to retain heat, not to let heat out. So we're pretty screwed. Anyway, thanks for asking. Next week, sadly, I won't be able to do a stream, but I'll be back to streaming the week after at my normal Wednesday slot. And let me know if there are any games that you would like me to stream. Have a look on Tabletopia. Give me a shout at Alltime Robin on Twitter, or JInteresting YT on Twitter. That's the channel name, or channel Twitter account, I should say. Give us a tweet. Let me know. Adam Pudliner says, I would say that it is hot. Oh, that 40 degrees is hot. In Virginia, if it's above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I hate it. Yes, me too. I'm a person who loves the cool weather. Winter is my favorite season along with autumn. And this kind of weather where it's grey and raining is so refreshing. Obviously, it can be miserable rain, and I don't want it to be raining all the time. You want to take the good weather with the bad, but a little bit of good weather. A balance, that's what I want. A nice balance. And we haven't had much balance because of, global warming. Anyway, like I said, I'll be back in a couple of weeks to stream. Let me know what you want. If you like this game and liked me playing it, then I'm happy to play the next level up, right? When my opponent on the greater difficulty. I might even do an epic session and play 2 races back to back. Let's see. See how I feel, of course. See how much time I've got, actually, as well. Stuff happens, work gets in the way. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's go back to the full screen. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. B-Noob says, winter 10 out of 10, minus 5C, please. As in minus 5 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly how you feel. So yeah, yet again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you very soon. And you too, Swifto. Have a good night. Bye for now.